Well, I think as we look at this chapter, two huge themes or ideas stand out. Test and sacrifice. And these are big ideas, aren't they? These are huge themes for life itself, test and sacrifice. When we're testing the mics, sometimes we say testing, testing. Not long ago we were testing regularly, weren't we, for coronavirus. Some have not long finished their tests, their exams at school. You may have had hospital tests, or blood tests, a pregnancy test, a driving test, even, if you can remember this far back, a cycling proficiency test. The world record for failed driving tests, by the way, falls to a Korean lady who failed 960 times. Poor thing. But then she passed in 2010. And what a feeling that must have been. Life is tests. Not just tests, but there's a lot of tests in life. And it's made very clear, isn't it, in Genesis 22 that this was a test. Sometime later, God tested Abraham. Did Abraham realize? I think he did. I think he took it on as a test. It wasn't the first test, of course, he'd been through. He'd had many tests in different ways, and some he'd failed and some he'd passed. But it was the hardest test, wasn't it? Without a doubt, the hardest test, you might say, almost anyone could face. Verse 2, take your son, this is the test, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go and sacrifice him as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you. What a test for Abraham, the ultimate. Yes, life is a series of tests for all people in a way, but certainly for all God's people. And they are God's tests. They are God's tests. God tests his people. Satan tempts us, but God tests us. And sometimes that's the same event, the same temptation. God is testing us while Satan is tempting us. Maybe it's a testing time for you right now. Maybe it's a tempting time for you. For sure, that is a test from the Lord himself. Satan's purpose and God's purposes are, of course, completely different. Satan wants to weaken us. He wants actually to destroy our faith. Jesus said that to Peter. Satan has asked to sift you. He wants to make your faith fail. God wants to build us up, doesn't he? He wants to build our faith.